So the events unfolding around us are making clearer than ever that we're living in the final part of the last days, undoubtedly the final part of the final part of the last days, shortly before the last day of the last days.
How you doing, guys? Would have much preferred doing this video from home, but unfortunately I'll be working all day today. It has now been officially a year that I've been working these insane hours. I finally had enough. I cornered my boss and I said, dude, enough is enough. I do need a day off. And I am cutting my hours back substantially. Apparently he wasn't taking me serious, but I gave him no choice on that. And he says, well, maybe you need help. And I'm like, yeah, maybe. Well, he gave me the okay to bring somebody in. Had somebody volunteer their services this week. Guy's mega experienced. All I'd have to do is bring him in, point, and go home. He'd have the whole thing covered. My boss overrode me. He says, no, I found somebody. He's good. He's experienced. I'll bring him in tomorrow. He did. He's a young brash punk. No experience. As it is, I told him, be here at 4 a.m. tomorrow. And he says, no, the boss told me to be here at 6. I'm like, dude, I got to show you the opening procedures. You're not just going to get it just by walking in the door. And he says, oh, no, you can just tell me. My boss said the same thing. You can just tell him. I said, it doesn't work that way. But rather than argue, I says, okay, it's on you, because next Sunday I will not be here. He's probably going to end up blowing the place up. You know, I was talking to a coworker of mine. He and I both work insane hours, and we both realized it's not my boss's fault that we work these insane hours. It's our fault for putting up with it. So I'm looking at this past year. It's my fault that I put up with this for as long as I did. And unfortunately, over this past year, I've done myself a lot of damage by doing so. And so you really can't blame him. I finally figured out the method to his madness. In his way of thinking, he's thinking, if we had time to ourselves, we could find something else and probably wouldn't come back. And he's probably right. At this point, I want out of here. He wants out of here. But he's not thinking one thing. You can also squeeze people out. It's going to come to a point where one day I'm just going to wake up and say, I don't want to go in there, and probably never come back. But this is the way he thinks. I went through this one time before. 2010, I was working the overnight shift. Now, anybody who's worked the third shifts realize you do not have a normal life. Basically, you don't sleep like you would if you're working days. You sleep in shifts. You get home, you sleep for a few hours, get up, you go back to bed for a few hours later on, late in the afternoon, get up and go back to work. Now, the time I was doing this, I was a JW. And dealing with the two was getting to be a hassle. I was starting to find excuses to miss meetings, to miss partial meetings. And this was the beginning of my fading. I found the meetings to be cumbersome. I found going out in the field ministry to be annoying. And the elders realized, as well as Watchtower realizes, when you start to fade, that's when you start to wake up. So their thing is they keep you constantly busy. They keep you constantly going. But they never realized the same thing. You can eventually get squeezed out. Well, we finally realized this week that they are going to be manning the Jehovah Witness comic cots again. And I bet, for the most part, they thought they would never be witnessing again, because these were supposed to be the last of the last days, shortly before the last day of the last days. Well, 2 months ago, JW's hopes were dashed when they found out they were going back to the Kingdom Halls. 2 months later, they will now be manning those cots again. And I don't call it witnessing because it's not really witnessing. No, they are just simply sitting there in front of their cots playing on their devices. Now, publicly when they're talking to one another, I'm sure they're all hyped up about it. But when you think about it, when they think to themselves, they finally got a taste of their own freedom for the last couple of years. And I'm sure they were liking it. I'm sure there are a handful that are raring to go, get back into it. But I'm just wondering how many of them actually woke up and how many are disgusted by the way that they've been living their lives, having their time consumed by Watchtower, having their time consumed by meetings, having their time consumed by their witnessing and their manning those cots. The same thing applies. Jehovah's Witnesses. You can't blame Watchtower for the way they've ruined your lives and the way they run your lives. No, it's your fault for putting up with it. You could very easily walk away. They have no power over you except what you give them. And you've apparently given them a lot. I finally got fed up with it and realized they had no power over me, and I walked away. They tried to reel me back in and take power, but they did not have any. But much like this son of a bitch here, I gave him the power to let me work these insane hours and cause myself some damage. But I finally said, frig it. I put my foot down. And you could easily walk away from that organization. Think about it. Do you really think what you're doing is public witnessing, sitting in front of cots? No, they're consuming your time so you don't wake up and continue giving them your donations. So that's your fault for putting up with it. Anyways, guys, I got to get this beast underway. I'm really not all hyped in being here today. Had a little bit of a fit of rage yesterday when I ripped the sink out of the wall. Oh well, life's a bitch. They should have given me some time off. Anyways, guys, I will talk to you soon. Next week I will be coming from home. Screw this place. I'm not really all hyped up on it. You guys have a good day. I'll be talking to you soon.